I refer you to the latest Constitutional Court case matter regarding Mrs. NKATA. What actually happened here was that the property was sold at auction after she paid First National Bank in full. The matter then went to the Western Cape High Court, in which case the judge ruled that the property should not be transferred. The bank appealed and took the matter all the way down to Bloemfontein, where it was appealed. The judge there ruled that the bank was correct. However, the fight continued and it ended up in the Constitutional Court case. There the judge ruled that should you have paid your arrears on an historical judgment of, let's say, for 2010 or 2011, and the bank rectified the account at that stage, that they cannot use the same judgment in order to resell your property. The judge further ruled that any legal fees are not allowed to be debited to the bond account. Now, it's common practice that in South Africa, that for the last 9 years, each and every bank in South Africa has debited legal fees to bond accounts and also charged interest on top of these bond accounts. This is illegal. Do you mind sharing with us your experience and what happened and where did this problem start?
Yes, I will do that. I think the problem started in 2010. I've been running a small business and doing government tenders. So I lost the tenders that I was getting money from. So because I had a bond with FNB for my house, I couldn't pay. So the one day I got a call from them to say they are going to auction my house. And then I was advised to go to an attorney, and I went to an attorney, and the attorney advised me to go for debt counseling. But unfortunately, at the time, the bank apparently has already, or the court has already passed a judgment. So at the time, I could manage to get the money I paid for the arrears, and I was able to pay. I continued paying from 2010, and in 2013, I was short paying, and therefore I had arrears of 24,000. And in actual fact, before 2013, I've been trying to talk to the bank to say, I can't afford installments, can you reduce the installment and increase the term? The bank refused. I tried anything and everything. I filled forms, I went for debt counseling, but they refused to accept any of those. And the bank informed me that they are going to auction my house in April. So in April, the bank sold my house on auction. It was bought by a property agency. They sold the property, and the agency that bought the property went to my house on the day to say that I have an option to move out, or they can rent it out to me until they get a buyer. So obviously I didn't have anywhere to go. I opted to rent until they get the buyer.
Right.
And I consulted a legal advisor, and she advised that, okay, she will try and see if there are no loopholes, to see if we have any ground to fight. And that was the case. She found out that there are flaws on the judgment and the summons. So she decided she is going to consult an advocate, and we can defend. But the nightmare was the people who bought the house. I didn't hear anything from the bank, but the people who bought the house were obviously in and out, thinking we don't understand Africans. So I paid the rent for the first 2 months, I think. And my attorney said there is no need because we are defending. When they were served with the summons, my attorney said there is no need because now the house is under litigation. And what they did was to come and attach, because the rental, I think I was owing something like 11,000 for the rental. They came to attach the furniture. One day we came back and there was nothing in the house. So I think in January 2014, because it was a high court case, in January 2014 we won the case, and on that morning they decided to auction the furniture. They actually auctioned the furniture after we have won. I think it was the 16th of January 2014. And the attorney defended again, but they, for some other reason, managed to get a judgment from Belleville Court to auction the furniture. And my furniture was auctioned, and the legal process was going on. When we lost, they appealed, and we lost at the Supreme Court, but they appealed again. And we ultimately won at the Constitutional Court. We're still surviving. They say what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And because I'm someone who would fight quietly, and I'm not a quitter, and I'd never give up, and I am still fighting even now. So after we won at the Constitutional Court, I'm still struggling with the arrears, but I'm hoping to pay them, because the last thing I want is to get rid of my house. It's my children's home, and at my age, I don't think there's anyone who will give me a bond again. So if I can hold on to it, that's what I would love to do.
Well, FNB still has not refunded the legal costs.
No, they haven't.
Until now.
No.
How much is it?
We estimate the one bill is close to 800,000 rand. We're waiting on the rest of the bills. My legal experts predict that you're probably looking at taxation because of the magnitude of this case in excess of about 1.5 million rand that FNB will have to refund. The property, how much would you estimate is the property worth that was sold?
Well, the property would probably be worth anything between 2.5 million to 3 million.
And it was sold at the sheriff auction?
It was sold at the Belleville Court at 1.3. I took a bond of 1.4 because I bought a plot, and I took a bond to build as well. There is good value in the property. There's good value in it's a big plot. I think the plot is 927 square meters, and the house is 354 square meters. Well, the bank didn't want to listen to anything that I wanted to say, and it's so interesting because they are, what do you call it? They would say, their logo says, "How can we help you?" And when you go to them, they can't help you. Excuse me? How can you ask people, how can I help you? And when they come to you for help, you don't get any help. They auctioned the house because I was in arrears for 24,000 rand. I have been paying, I think at the time my installment was 11,000. And I have been paying since 2005 when I started taking a bond. And in 2013, I fell short with 24,000 rand.
And that included all the legal fees that they just did?
I think including the legal fees, I think it was about 32,000, and they auctioned it. We've been communicating shortly after the verdict of the Constitutional Court. We were communicating, and all of a sudden they kept quiet. And after that, they sent summons again.
A new summons?
New summons.
Right.
They don't communicate, they just send summons. But I was expecting it. Obviously, they wouldn't be happy to lose.
Sure.
But I thought maybe they have learned a lesson. You know that you negotiate with your customer. I take it I'm their customer. And I thought, because I had my business account with them as well as my personal account with them. So I've been their client, I think, since probably 1998. I've been their client. But for the banks, you are as good as having money. If you don't have any money, then you're not good enough for them.
They're not there to help.
No, not at all. They have no interest in you at all. They are in the business of making money.
Emotional.
Well, it's very emotional. I mean, there is a sentimental value to that home, you know, because I bought a plot. And actually, at the time when I was buying a plot, I was just buying it for investment purposes. But somebody advised me that if you want to sell the plot, it's better to build. So when I built the house, I still lived in Rondebosch. I was renting a flat in Rondebosch because my daughter was at Soush High, so it was nearer for her in Newlands. So as I was building, I was just going to build a very small, maybe 2-bed house, just to sell it, to make a profit. And as I was building there, I just fell in love with the area. It is very tranquil, very, very quiet. All you hear is the birds singing, you know. So at the time, I was running my small business, and you had very bad days sometimes. And I just imagined having a very bad day, going back home and go back to that tranquility. So I ended up tweaking the house to fit my needs. So it does have a sentimental value. I got somebody to make a plan for me. I was very involved. My kids were very involved. Were very involved in building the house, in finishing the house. So it has a sentimental value to me. For me to lose it, it's very emotional. If I can have it my way, I mean, I wouldn't want to lose it. It's my children's home. It's my home. I wouldn't want, it's very emotional to lose a home. You know, sentimental value or no sentimental value, it's your home. It doesn't matter how small. Even if it was a 1-bed home, it would still be my home.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? So I know how it is to lose a home. I was very lucky because I didn't have to move out, thanks to my attorneys. I can just imagine if I were to move out, and at the time I was so down and out, I didn't have a blue penny in my pocket. So there are a lot of emotions that go with it. But I had support from my family and my children. You know, I think that the sad thing is not knowing what to do and where to go. I think anyone who would be in the situation, now that I know something about bondsecure, I think one would call and just find out if they can help or just get legal advice. So I would advise anybody to not just sit and do nothing and let the bank take your home. Seek legal advice. There might be somebody who might help you, who might listen to you.